here at the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office. This is about Sergeant Damon Gutzwiller. And Damon was a good man. He was a good police officer, and he was a friend that we all loved. And we have to keep remembering that. And this is about Damon. And I want to acknowledge that his family and his friends are grieving right now. And this is a very challenging time for many people in our community. But Damon was a hero, and he's somebody that we're never going to forget. I want to update you on our second deputy who was injured during this terrible event. And I'm not going to provide you with his name at this time because he's still in the hospital. But he suffered some serious injuries. We have not confirmed it yet through ballistics, but it appears that he had been shot in the chest, and his vest was able to stop the bullet, but he suffered quite some significant internal trauma from the bullet. He also suffered shrapnel wounds from a bomb that was set off, and he was struck by the suspect's car as the suspect fled from the scene. And so he may have injured his leg as well. And so we're looking into all those injuries, but he's in good spirits, he's in stable condition, and we look forward to when he's able to come back and join the Sheriff's Office family. There has been an outpouring of support from our community. And in this era of a lot of negativity about law enforcement, it's been a real godsend to see what our community really thinks about us here in Santa Cruz County. I have received hundreds and hundreds of emails, phone calls, text messages from people saying that we stand by you, we support you, we're behind you, anything that you need, let us know. And we had a vigil yesterday, and there was a tremendous outpouring of support there. And that quiet majority, you don't hear them often, but there's a ton of support for the Sheriff's Office and local law enforcement here in Santa Cruz County. And I want to let the community know how much I appreciate that support. And our deputy sheriffs that are out on the street, putting their lives on the line every day and every night, appreciate that support as well. I have been contacted today by our state attorney general, Javier Becerra, and he wanted me to pass on to our community, but especially to our deputy sheriffs, how sorry he is that this happened, and he expressed his condolences to Damon's family as well. I also received a phone call from FBI Director Christopher Wray from DC, and Director Wray also expressed how concerned he was for the office and sent his deepest condolences to all the men and women that work at the Sheriff's Office and to the Santa Cruz community. Many, many elected officials, Congressman Panetta, Congresswoman Anna Eshue, all of our Board of Supervisors, Senator Monning, Assemblymember Stone, just about every one of the other 57 sheriffs in the state of California have sent their deepest condolences and sent their support to the Sheriff's Office. I want to talk a little bit about Stephen Carrillo. I don't even want to say his name again. It's the last you're going to hear me say it. But this guy was active Air Force. He was dangerous, and he's an angry man intent on bringing harm to police officers. He murdered Sergeant Gutzwiller. He injured another deputy and another police officer, and he's going to be held accountable. And I trust our district attorney. And they have a fine office, they have a great set of prosecutors, and I trust that our district attorney is going to bring justice for Damon's murder. I want to talk a little bit about the evidence that's being found at the scene. And I really want to thank the FBI, as well as the California Department of Justice. But the FBI sent out a very large team of crime scene investigators and forensics personnel and ballistics professionals and they've been in Ben Lomond now for multiple days. They're going to be there for a while longer. But their commitment and their dedication and the work that they're doing is not only going to bring this person to justice, but it's also going to render that hillside safe. It's a dangerous spot right now, and I don't recommend anybody, including the media, going up there. We need to make sure that all evidence is removed off of that hillside before anybody gets on there. But the FBI has done a fantastic job working a very, very challenging, large crime scene, and they're working through it. But at that location where Damon was murdered, the FBI and other forensics personnel are finding bomb-making equipment. They're finding pipe bombs, multiple firearms, a large amount of ammunition. And so they are going through all of that evidence. It takes a long time to render those types of devices safe, and they're taking their time, and they're being patient. And I really want to thank the Ben Lomond community. They're being patient as well. This is a very unusual event for a small town like Ben Lomond, and they have welcomed the FBI and all the agencies that are up there with food, water, and support. And it means a lot to everybody that the Ben Lomond community is doing that. During the suspect's escape, he carjacked one person. He attempted to carjack multiple other people. And we believe that there might be more victims out there that haven't come forward. And so I want to encourage people in the Ben Lomond area or anybody that was going through Ben Lomond on Saturday at around 2 in the afternoon. If they saw something, if they were somehow victimized by this guy, please come forward. We would love to talk to you. It's very important for this case. It's very important for Damon's memory that we get this case right, and we encourage anybody who saw something, who knows something, or who may have been a victim of this guy to contact the district attorney's tip line at 454-2588. That's 454-2588, and an investigator will call them back as soon as possible. This was as I described on Saturday night, this was a very chaotic scene. There was a lot of gunshots. There was pipe bombs going off. Radio and cell reception is poor in that region of the county. And our deputies were scouring the hillside, both on foot and in vehicles, looking for this guy on Saturday afternoon. And I want to talk about what happened when he was detained. This guy went into the backyard of a local resident, and the local resident confronted him, wanted to know what he was doing on his property, and the suspect told him that actually he had an AR-15 slung. He was carrying an AR, and he told the resident that he wanted his car keys. And the resident very calmly went into his house, obtained a key, and came back out and handed it to him. And as the suspect turned around, the resident tackled him. And the AR-15 fell away, and the resident took this guy to the ground. And at that time, the suspect reached in his pocket and pulled out a pipe bomb and tried to ignite a pipe bomb while being held down. This resident was able to knock the pipe bomb out of his house, out of his hand, and then the suspect reached into his waistband and pulled out a pistol. And there was a wrestling match over the pistol. The resident was able to knock the pistol out of his hand, detain this guy. Multiple other community members from Ben Lomond then jumped on this guy and held him until our deputy sheriffs were able to get there and place him under arrest. It was a remarkable, remarkable, heroic thing that resident did. And he does not want to be named. He doesn't want any recognition. But at a later date, if I have to personally drive up there and see him, we will provide him with accommodation and a citizen's medal, because This guy could have done a lot more damage in our community had that resident not taken the action that he did. I'm not going to read the whole list, but there was about 40 police agencies that responded to Santa Cruz County and Ben Lomond to assist us. We were stretched really thin on Saturday. We had a lot of people on that scene. We had other calls for service occurring as well. We had people that were injured. And we called for mutual aid, and there's a process for that. And some of the local agencies recently, mine included, have received some backlash for providing San Jose and Oakland with mutual aid when they needed help. But I'll tell you what, we called for mutual aid, and hundreds of police officers, dozens of FBI agents responded to Santa Cruz County because we said we needed help, and we did. We needed help. And it was incredible to see the amount of people who showed up and simply said, what do you need me to do? And we put them to work. They watched our county for us. They processed our scene. They helped our deputies. And it's been an incredible, incredible thing to watch where we don't call for help that often, but when we do, everybody came. And I can't thank the police agencies enough. I wish I had the time to name all the agencies, but I do want to name a few that really provided a lot of support. And in addition to the FBI and the Department of Justice, who's helping on that scene, I really want to thank the Santa Cruz Police Department. They're still helping us. They have been amazing, and I really appreciate having that local relationship, not just with Santa Cruz, but with Watsonville, Capitola, Scotts Valley, State Parks, UCSC. CHP has been amazing. All the local agencies have really pitched in. The Monterey County Sheriff's Office, the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office sent bomb teams. They sent personnel. We told them we needed our county watched overnight, and San Mateo Police and San Mateo Sheriff sent 40 personnel that night because we needed help. It was just incredible. So I can't thank those agencies enough. There's also some fire departments I want to acknowledge. There's always this thought that police and fire don't get along. In this county, they get along fine. And we always help one another. We're too spread out, and there's not enough of us. And we work very well with the fire departments. And I really want to thank CAL FIRE and Ian Larkin, who runs that group. I want to thank Felton Fire, Ben Lomond Fire, Boulder Creek Fire, and AMR for the work that they did. And I talked to the life flight medics that medevaced our injured deputy out. I thank them for their service, and I thanked all the people that worked on Damon at the hospital in the medical community, and they're as heartbroken as the rest of us. They did everything they could to save Damon, and they did everything they could to help our deputy who was injured and who's now in stable condition. And it's just commendable what everybody did, and I can't thank them enough. This case, as I've mentioned, is being investigated by the district attorney's office. So they have a team of investigators that are working on this case. They're going to finish this case up, and District Attorney Jeff Roselle is going to comment on that and the prosecution that's going to take effect here coming up. And I really appreciate that, Jeff. You didn't have to do that. I asked you to do that, and you were the first one at the door, and you said absolutely we'll take care of that. And I want to thank you for that. And I want to close with, we're never going to forget Damon. We love him, and we will always hold him close in our heart. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Good afternoon. My name is John Bennett, and I'm the Special Agent in charge of FBI San Francisco. Before I begin, I want to recognize and honor the service and the ultimate sacrifice that Sergeant Gusweiler gave for the good of this community. He exemplified heroism and personified why all of us in law enforcement get up every morning, put our badge on, and protect these communities. On behalf of the FBI, our deepest condolences go out to Sergeant Gutzweiler, his family, his friends, and the Santa Cruz Sheriff's Office family. Your loss is unimaginable. So let me talk a little bit about what the FBI's role is in this right now. We were asked to come in and assist the District Attorney's Office with their investigation. This is not about the FBI. This is about justice and giving our law enforcement any support that they need whenever they call. We have several resources that are now deployed in Ben Lomond and around the area and continue to provide assistance as long as it takes. Our specialized teams of FBI investigators arrived here on Saturday, and they consist of special agent bomb technicians to render devices safe, our SWAT teams to do tactical clears when needed, our evidence response teams from not only San Francisco, but Los Angeles, and this morning a component from FBI headquarters arrived to work with us on the bullet trajectory, which is a very long and tedious process, and the terrain is unforgiving up there. Let's talk a little bit about the white van that everybody wants to hear about. Many of you have asked about the connection to this incident and the shooting of 2 federal protection officers in Oakland on May the 29th at the federal building. We're actively investigating the possibility of links between these cases. However, as this investigation is ongoing, I cannot provide and I will not provide details or comment any further on the van. This is complex and an active investigation. We ask that you be patient with us as we continue to investigate. Law enforcement cannot and does not rely on assumptions or guesses. We need to follow the evidence and make sure that we conduct this investigation thoroughly, accurately, and fairly. This investigation continues. We are continuing to process physical evidence with our law enforcement partners here in Santa Cruz County. We continue to follow leads and conduct this investigation exhaustively. We are looking into every lead that becomes available, and wherever it takes us, we will go. We ask for the public's patience and support as we continue to work here. I want to give a special thank you to the whole town of Ben Lomond. You have shown us so much support. I know this is a very scary time when law enforcement descends on your town. It can be shocking. But the citizens of this town have welcomed us, and I want to thank you for your support. It means a lot to all the people that are out there that are working significant hours under very trying conditions. So thank you to the town. Again, I want to ask the public for their patience as we work through this investigation process, and we'll provide you with more information as soon as we can. And with that, I'm going to pause, and I'm going to turn it over to the district attorney. Sir.
Just want to say, first and foremost, on behalf of the district attorney's office, that our hearts go out to the family and friends of Deputy Gutzweiler and to the sheriff's office and to all of law enforcement for their loss. The district attorney's office at this point is conducting an ongoing investigation. As you have heard from Sheriff Hart and FBI Agent Bennett, if there's anybody out in the community that has information or leads, we are encouraging you to please call the tip line that has been set up. And in terms of charges, this individual will be arraigned on Friday at 1:30. We will be filing appropriate charges based on the investigation as it's unfolding, and I can assure you this person will be brought to justice. That's really about all I have to say at this moment. Thank you.
So we're going to open it up to questions now, but as you guys want to ask your questions, I'm asking you to raise your hand. I will call on you, say the organization that you're with, your name, and please say who you would like to direct your question to. So, Todd, you can start us off.
Yeah, hi, Todd Gill from the Pomeranian. This question is for Sheriff Hart. Sheriff, you mentioned that, if I heard you right, that he had a special vendetta against police officers. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
I can't, not at this time. It just his actions alone up there said a lot about him. And he used some very heavy weaponry to shoot at and shoot our deputies and Sergeant Gutswither, and then threw incendiary devices at them. So he was very intent on killing these police officers.
I have a question for Sheriff Hart. Steve Dorr, KTVU Channel 2. The citizen that helped or helped apprehend the suspect, is he known to police? Is he ex-military? I know you can't give his name, but can you tell us anything about him?
He's active military in the Air Force.
No, the citizen.
Oh, the citizen.
That took down the suspect.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to comment. He's pretty adamant he wants to stay out of the news on this.
Rob Platimer with Crawford. Sheriff, can you say anything to suggest? Is there anything to suggest that he was planning something? He's got a van full of guns and explosives. Was some sort of tragedy beyond this avoided here?
We would only be guessing at this point on that. I mean, you can make a lot of assumptions that somebody that has that kind of weaponry and explosive devices has a lot of ill intent, but we would be guessing on what his plans were at this time.
For Sheriff Hart, Len Ramirez for KPIX. One of the suspects one of the citizens that helped subdue the suspect mentioned that he was saying stuff about Afghanistan. Is this a potential PTSD type case?
I'm not sure.
Sheriff Robert Hunter in the DC Bay area. Can you talk a little bit about when the officers first approached? We've been hearing the word ambush. Is that an accurate description, or what is the nature of the way the officers approached and how he reacted?
It is accurate. Our deputy sheriffs were ambushed. They were in a driveway in a remote region. Suspect had the high ground on this, and when they were able to get out of their patrol cars, he opened fire on them. They had, by all accounts that we've seen, they had no idea that they were about to get into this firefight.
Carmo with the Pomeranian newspaper. Is it true that the suspect was shot in the leg, and if so, who did that? And also, the weapon, do we know if it was legally purchased and owned, please?
I don't know anything about the weapons. That's really in the FBI's purview right now. And yes, he was shot, and we're still trying to figure out all the sequences of that. And so when we figure that out, that agency will release that information, or the district attorney can release that information if he wants to.
Felix.
Hi, Felix, KFBW, local ABC. Question for the FBI.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any insight into the suicide of his wife? It was determined to be a suicide. Is that case being reopened?
The suicide of the wife, I understand, was 2 years ago. He was not a suspect in the suicide of his wife. She took her life in South Carolina. I believe the suspect was here at the time, but I don't have all the details on that. Air Force investigators who were on scene with us investigated that, and so the Bureau doesn't have any other comments on that.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Martha Mendoza with Associated Press, and I'm not sure who's going to be better to answer this question, but when you use the word ambush, is there an implication that he or someone associated with him made the phone call to 911 in the first place to instigate this?
Sure.
Yeah, there's no indication that he made the 911 call.
In the back of the Matthew, sorry.
Josh Stevens, KSCO Radio News. I had a question for Sheriff Hart about if we can expect an extended closure of any of the local roads up there to through traffic, and if so, what roads are they?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that Special Agent in Charge Bennett has indicated that the FBI is going to be up there through tomorrow, I believe, at least.
At least.
And I haven't talked to my staff as far as what roads are completely closed, so I don't know.
Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, Todd from the Park. I mean, is there any possibility of federal charges come in?
Did you guys talk about that?
Go ahead, sir.
I can say this, right now, the crime that we have in front of us are county charges and state charges, and that's what we're pursuing, that's what we're actively investigating, and that's what we're looking on. In terms of any other charges, I'm not prepared to discuss anything else.
We'll take 2 more questions. Steve, go ahead.
I have one more for Sheriff. Thank you. Can you give us a timeline from when the call came in to when the suspect was arrested?
I don't have that in front of me.
Hi, I'm Margaret Schaefer with KCBS. You're asking people to come forward, you're saying please come forward. Is there a reason why you think people wouldn't want to come forward?
There's some information that's floating around that there may have been other attempted carjackings by this guy. And so we want to find out if that did in fact occur, and we want to be able to talk to those victims so that if he did do that, we can add more charges to this guy if that's what he in fact did.
And then just to follow, the suspect, military police, does that make it worse to think that this was one of your own in the police community?
This guy wasn't a cop. This guy was he was some sort of a security officer for the Air Force, and so to lump this person into a civilian policing world, which is what we're all in, it's 2 different things. This is not a police officer that we're talking about.
Okay. We'll take 1 more. Drew, go ahead. Yeah.
Drew Andre, KI1. Sheriff, is there any possibility of another suspect in this case, or are you pretty confident that it's just one?
DA Rozelle's team's been working on that. I'll let him answer that.
I can tell you this, this is an ongoing investigation. We are looking at every single possibility, and in any more detail, I'm unfortunately not at liberty to say that right now. I can tell you we're confident that we are pursuing every lead, and I don't really have anything else specifically that I can say to that.
Jeff, quick question. Can you give us a better idea of the inventory of the weapons that this individual had, maybe number of rifles, guns?
Yeah, I don't, that is probably better answered by somebody else, but I can tell you this. In terms of the specific numbers and the specific weapons, at this time, it's still an ongoing investigation, which I think is important for all of us to recognize. So those sort of details and that sort of granular detail is not going to be available at this point. I will tell you he's being arraigned on Friday at 1:30. There is a document that will be filed, a criminal complaint that will outline all of the things that we believe are relevant in terms of the crimes that he has committed. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.